Viewers, for the one truth that Shehbaz Sharif has put out, the admission that India pounded their bases, the Pakistan Prime Minister has had to overcompensate by spewing a spate of lies and misinformation. First, in a stunning display of posturing, Shehbaz Sharif claimed that it was India that reached out for a ceasefire. He quoted General Munir as saying that they, referring to India, were asking for a ceasefire, and then went bizarrely to describe it as an honorable outcome. The truth, however, is far less than flattering. Pakistan had been on the back foot after India's retaliatory strikes on the 10th of May, and it was Islamabad that pleaded through diplomatic back channels to restore calm. Shehbaz's claim, therefore, is less about facts and more about face-saving. But in his tried and tired tactic of saber-rattling, Shehbaz Sharif would do well to remember what Prime Minister Modi emphatically declared earlier in the week, that India will no longer tolerate Pakistan's nuclear blackmail. Listen in once again. While we listen into that reaction, of course, the big story is that there's been one truth and many lies that have come in from Shehbaz Sharif. He did earlier claim that finally that he got a call which said that Nur Khan's airbase was pounded by India. So therefore, Pakistan finally admitted what the world now knows. But then he claimed that he got a call from General Asif Munir, who is, remember, the Pakistan Army Chief, claiming that India was ready for a ceasefire. It's clear to the world that we never asked for a ceasefire. In fact, it was the Pakistani DGMO which was completely spooked by the strikes that we carried out on Pakistan air bases on the 10th of May, that spooked the Pakistan DGMO to go crying to the United States and then come to India asking for a ceasefire. Then Shehbaz Sharif went on to claim and cite the concept of a nuclear saber-rattling once again, asking as to what will happen. Imagine if there's a nuclear flashpoint that happens in a region of 1.6 billion people. We never pressed the nuclear button. We never threatened it. In fact, it's always been Pakistan's go-to record. And finally, before I go across to my colleague Pradeep Datta, Shehbaz Sharif also claimed that they won the war, but they want peace. No winner of a war ever wants peace. And neither has Pakistan won the war. Pradeep will come in here. Pradeep, this claim by Shehbaz Sharif that we want the war, but we want peace is factually wrong on two accounts. Neither has Pakistan won the war, and nor has it shown any inclination of asking for peace, because hours after the ceasefire was declared, last Saturday, 1 week ago, we saw how Pakistan broke the test in a matter of hours.
See, one thing is quite clear, that Pakistan has not won the war. It was only when their air bases were hit in the heart of Lahore as well as in Rawalpindi that finally they came down on knees and they wanted to surrender. And that was the reason that they started calling US and other countries. They wanted them to intervene. And it was at about 3:35 on May 10, Indian Standard Time, when the DGMO called the Indian DGMO, and he asked for the ceasefire. And Indians agreed to it because the Indians had already achieved their military objective. India never wanted to climb that escalation ladder, and that was one of the reasons that India agreed to the ceasefire. And yes, you are absolutely right. After 2 hours, we saw that they again violated ceasefire, opening mouths of their guns, and then they started firing drone. But India was able to once again thwart their nefarious plot and sinister design. But so far as this conversation is concerned, where he was talking to the audience, his domestic audience, Shehbaz Sharif, he said that he was sleeping, and that is exactly what has happened, because Pakistan was caught napping, and they had no idea what really is going to happen, and that was the reason that in the middle of the night at about 2:10 a.m. The General Asif Munir, who himself was sleeping, it was a bang of those missiles that struck that Nur Khan airbase that made him get up and immediately call the Prime Minister that, see, we are being hit. And that was the time, in fact, the Pakistan realized that what really is going to happen, and finally they decided to ceasefire. That is the reality. But now they're cooking up stories because they have to keep their domestic audience intact. And this is not the first time Pakistan has done it. They have done it since 1965, when General Ayub Khan was the president of the country. After losing a war, he too started celebrating. This thing happened in 1971, when 93,000 of the soldiers surrendered. And after signing Shimla agreement with Zulfikar Ali Bhutto went to Pakistan, they started celebrating as if they had won the war. Absolutely. But world knows that what really has happened, and this time also everybody knows what really happened. But I think a wise man learned from the mistake, who will always try to fool their audience and start celebrating the failure. That's exactly what Pakistan is doing. And so far as youth mongering is concerned, we always use this as a weapon to blackmail Western countries. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made it clear that this nuclear blackmail is not really going to work. We had done it in 2016 when first surgical strike was carried out. Nuclear bluff was called out that time. Second time in Balakot strike was carried out. That time also nuclear bluff was called out. And this time again, India taught them a lesson that
Absolutely.
even if you are having a nuclear weapon, we are going to hit you in the heart where it's going to hurt you most.
Thanks, Pradeep. Do stay on with us, because amidst all this bluster, Shehbaz Sharif did make one major admission. He revealed that he was alerted to India's precision strikes on Pakistan's key air bases in the early hours of the 10th of May. In a shocking revelation, Pakistan's Prime Minister confirmed that he had received a call at 2:30 a.m. from Pakistan Army Chief General Asif Munir, moments after Indian missiles had targeted critical sites, including the Nur Khan airbase. Shehbaz Sharif described how Asif Munir informed him of the airstrikes. The first time the Pakistani Prime Minister has publicly acknowledged the scale of the Indian operation under Operation Sindoor. Let's also now tell you about other Pakistani air bases that were struck by India. There's the Sukkur air base, which is located between Karachi and Hyderabad. It's the tactical hub of southern Pakistan. There's, of course, the Rahim Ya Khan air base, which is close to the Rajasthan border. That facilitates rapid-fire operations, houses and fighter jets and UAVs. Then there is the Chunain air base, which is located 70 kilometers south of Lahore. That is a major operational air base. There's also the Rafiki air base. It's a major fighter jet base, operational. It can host the Miraj fighter squadron and the JF-17 Thunder squadron. Then there's the Murid air base, which is the hub of Pakistan's drone operation, and it's the launch pad for all the UAV incursions that Pakistan was trying to do in this country. And then there's the Nur Khan air base, which is just 10 kilometers away from the capital Islamabad. It is next to the Pakistan Army GHQ, and it played an active role in the 1965 and the 1971 wars. Let me go across to Pradeep, who's joining us at this point. Pradeep, for the first time now that it's a lot of their Garmahat has probably settled down in the last 1 week, we're getting these voices from within Pakistan, which no matter how they try and camouflage it, they can't deny. The first admissions coming in of the fact of the sheer scale of the extent and the casualties that have been suffered during Operation Sindoor.
Initially, when Pakistan was hit, they were in a denial mode, and they started cooking up stories that India has only targeted civilian areas and the mosques have been targeted. But India made it clear that we have targeted terror den, which included Lashkar-e-Toiba headquarters and also Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur area. And after that, India thought that maybe the Pakistan will not try to target India, because they claim that they fight a war against terror. So they will support India's action against the terrorism. But nothing of that sort really happened. What they started doing, natural Pakistan started targeting civilian areas. They opened mouth of their guns in Poonch, because of which 16 civilians lost their lives. And finally, India was left with no other option but to target their air bases. And see, now it is the Shehbaz Sharif himself is claiming the Nur Khan air base was hit by the BrahMos missile. That is what actually his chief of army staff informed him. And also now the retired air marshal Masood Akhtar has also informed that how Bulari air base was hit by BrahMos missile, surface-to-surface air missile, and because of which the aircraft was also damaged, and many pilots also lost their lives. They were seen running helter-skelter to save their aircraft in that hangar. So one thing is clear, that India was able to hit 11 of their air bases. That's one of the reasons that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already conveyed a message loud and clear to them by
Absolutely.